Good morning. Good afternoon. My name is Edward Sanshin Oberholtzer. I'm the resident priest and guiding teacher of the Joseph Priestley Zen Sangha in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania. We're a part of Empty Moon Zen. I'm sure that one of those gateway drugs that nudged me in the direction of Zen practice was a PBS series of Japanese films introduced by Edward O. Reischauer and broadcast in the mid-1970s on the Boston station WGBH. It featured films by Ozu and Ichikawa, including that Buddhist classic, Harp of Burma. And of course, many of the films had been directed by Akira Kurosawa. His samurai films, The Seven Samurai, The Hidden Fortress, Rashomon, Sanjuro, and Yojimbo, were a major draw. I was particularly taken by the characters played by Toshiro Mifune. During the opening credits of the film Yojimbo, Mifune is seen walking down a dusty trail to where the road splits. He contemplates this for a moment, reaches down, picks up a stick, tosses it in the air where it lands on one of the two paths. The samurai shrugs and saunters off in that direction, and my mind saunters off to the couplet, "The great way is not difficult for those who do not pick and choose." Senkan, the legendary third Chinese patriarch of Zen, is credited with writing those words, the beginning of the poem we know as Trust in Mind. And he could have been speaking to Mifune's character in that moment. Buddhism, classic Indian Buddhism, gives us the Eightfold Path, a roadmap with steps and stations for those of us with an inclination to follow a map. The Great Way is more of an invitation to a long and dusty road. Both have their sets of travelers. Both are invitations to seekers of the Dharma. Little is known of Sekan. The Enlightenment story told by our ancestor Keizan Jokin in his collection The Denko Roku seems a pale echo of the Enlightenment story of Sekan's immediate ancestor Huike, substituting Sekan's leprosy for the severed arm of Huike, and Sekan's sins for Huike's mind, neither of which could be found, both of which are resolved by their very unknowability. Little else is known of Sekan, except for the poem Trust in Mind, a collection heavily influenced by Taoism and consisting of 146 lines arranged in couplets and urging us to, as the poem goes, when preferences are cast aside, the way stands clear and undisguised, but even slight distinctions made set earth and heaven far apart. If you would clearly see the truth, discard opinions pro and con. But it's the words of that New York Yankees worthy Yogi Berra which provide, to my mind, perhaps the best and most succinct summation of the poem. When you come to a fork in the road, take it. Words duly followed by Mifune's character. Certainly both Sekan and Yogi Berra continue to speak through that grandmotherly Zen teacher Zhao Zhou, as we hear in the koan entitled Zhao Zhou's Country Bumpkin, Case 57 in the Blue Cliff Record. A monk asked Zhao Zhou, "The supreme way is not difficult. It simply dislikes choosing. What is non-choosing?" Zhao Zhou said, "Above the heavens, beneath the heavens, I am alone and the honored one." "Isn't that still choosing?" returned the monk, to which Zhao Zhou said, "You country bumpkin, where is the choosing?" The monk said nothing. A fork in the road, a stick tossed in the air, a weary samurai trudges down a country road, alone towards an unknown and troubled village. And again, we are from another curious monk in case 58, Zhaozhou's non-vindication. A monk asks Zhaozhou, "You say the supreme way is not difficult, it simply dislikes choosing. Isn't that a pit into which we have fallen?" Zhaozhou said, "Once someone asked me about that. For the 5 years since then, I haven't been able to apologize for it." The story is that Koen Yamada once asked Anne Aiken what she thought of death. "When the bus stops, you get on board," she said. Standing on a bus stop, hearing the hiss of the bus's brakes, the sound of the door sliding open, the hooded bus driver offering with a spectral hand not a ferry crossing of the river Styx, but a simple, almost mundane ride off into eternity. The old woman needs no thought, not even a stick tossed in the air. She simply boards the bus, pays her fare, and takes a seat. And there on the side of that dusty road, the bus passes a dusty and grizzled samurai and a series of old Burma shave signs on which appears yet another question from yet another monk in case 59. Zhaozhou's simply the way. A monk asks Zhaozhou, "The supreme way is not difficult. It simply dislikes choosing. If there are words at all, that is choosing. How do you teach others?" Zhaozhou said, "Why don't you complete the quotation?" "I just wish to know about this," said the monk. "Only this. The supreme way is not difficult. It simply dislikes choosing," returned Zhaozhou. One wonders, does the samurai ever regret following the Styx path down to that Japanese town riven with strife? Does Anne Aiken regret the bus's destination? I think not. I think regret did not enter their minds. But here, traveling down that roadway, the bus passes first the samurai, and then an ancient, though more recent poet, perhaps himself a country bumpkin, though born in San Francisco, who, having set off down the road himself, wonders about the road not taken by, of course, Robert Frost. "Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both, and be one traveler, long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth, then took the other, as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear, though as for that the passing there had worn them both really about the same, and both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back." I shall be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. A good choice, perhaps, but a choice nonetheless. Frost may not be alone, for as the poet Kobayashi Issa wrote, "This world of dew is just this world of dew, and yet, choices made or not made, we step onto the dusty path and place one foot in front of the other. Seikan encourages us on our way. That grizzled samurai turns and gazes at us as we travel, and Aiken waves from her bus as she passes. Zhao Zhou, ever the grandmother, finishes with, "The supreme way is not difficult. It simply dislikes choosing." Thank you.